Hey friends, I wanted to talk today a bit about courage and the courage that we're seeing demonstrated so beautifully by our neighbors in Minnesota, even in the face of incredibly brutal oppression. Nelson Mandela said that courage is not the absence of fear, but it's the triumph over it. So being afraid, but doing the right thing anyway. And the astrology that we're under right now is supporting us in doing just that. So today, January 26th, we have Neptune moving into the sign of Aries for the first time since 1875. Every zodiac sign has shadow and light expressions. Aries is associated with the warrior archetype. So in its shadow, Aries can be war, someone who confronts threats with violence, acts recklessly before thinking, someone who doesn't pause to say, is this the right course of action before doing something potentially dangerous. But in its light, the warrior can be someone who sees clearly when there's an injustice being committed and steps in to take action to do something about it, even at the risk of their own personal safety. So in its light, the warrior archetype transforms into the hero archetype. Alex Pretti embodied that hero archetype. He helped others in his career as an ICU nurse. And when he saw injustice in his own community, he once again stepped in to help. And because of that, he was executed. I'm devastated and I'm outraged by Alex's execution, and I know you are too. That anger is an absolutely valid response to this horrific injustice that we're now all witness to. But this regime is intentionally manipulating our anger and fear, and they're doing that because they're hoping that we will show up in those shadow aspects of Aries. They want to trigger the emotions that are associated with survival, like fight or flight, so that we will act recklessly and violently. They want that so they can criminalize us and have an excuse to consolidate more power and keep us under more control. But what they weren't counting on is that we're not taking the bait. So instead of showing up with violence like the regime wants, people in Minnesota are showing up with courage and love and care. They're still feeling that anger, they're still feeling that fear, but they're not letting it control them, and they're not letting the regime use it to manipulate them. They're doing the right thing anyway. And whether they're putting their life on the line, like Alex did, protecting their neighbors by patrolling for ICE, or helping deliver groceries for people that are too scared to leave their home, they're all embodying that hero archetype. And that type of courage always wins out in the end. On February 20th, we have Neptune and Saturn meeting up at the very first degree of Aries, the first degree of the entire zodiac. This is a reset point, so it's not just a new chapter, it's a new book. Neptune's energy dissolves everything it touches, and Saturn represents long-standing physical structures and institutions like governments, sometimes oppressive ones. The last time Neptune and Saturn met was 1989, when the Berlin Wall fell. This was a non-violent revolution that led to the dissolution of a massive oppressive regime. We have this same energy available to us now, but it's up to all of us how this plays out. Like I said, Aries has both shadow and light aspects, and the shadow aspect is war. But as astrologer Pam Gregory says, astrology is the sheet of music. We get to decide how we want to play the song. We don't need violence to be warriors. We just need courage. And it's a lot easier to find that courage in ourselves when we all stand together, because there's a lot more of us than there are of them. One of the reasons the regime wants to trigger fear and anger in us is because those energies keep people divided, and divided people are easier to control. So I also think it's really important to keep spreading that message, not to take the regime's bait, not to let them trigger our anger and fear into violent action and division, but instead to keep unifying and to keep showing up both courageously and non-violently, even if we're angry, even if we're scared. That's a great way that we can embody that hero archetype in our own lives and honor Alex's memory as we do it.